Aaron Rodgers still owns the Bears.
Aaron Rodgers still owns what?
He still owns the Bears.
Go Pack, go!
Go Pack, go!
Go Pack, go!
Go Pack, go!
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kayla Brett. I'm here with my co-host Roy Kessel, and for anybody listening, you already know Green Bay Packers. Michael Montgomery.
Man, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. What should I look? Should I look at the camera? Should I look at you?
Look at me in the camera.
Look at you in the camera. I got you. I got you.
So, Michael, I just told you we just got back from the Hall of Fame luncheon. Saw Leroy Butler get his little on the stage waving to everybody applause. So neat to see.
Man, that's
So neat.
a blessing to see, man. He's a really good guy. I had a chance to meet him at one of the alumni events. He's just a really good, humble guy, man. From a guy that was successful on and off the field, he's just still humble and still open and to give advice whenever you need it, man. It's a blessing and an honor for him to achieve that honor.
All right, so let's bring our listeners back. I think people look at you and they know you. But the coach of the Packers when you played was?
Mike McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy.
He was also Coach Sherman, too.
Oh, Ray Sherman is one of my heroes.
Huh?
Coach Sherman is one of my heroes.
Yeah.
He is one of my heroes. Best of the best. And crying out shame that he never took a head coaching job. And the Rooney Rule failed. We need to just say right out from the get-go, Coach Sherman got wrong with Pascal.
Yeah, they did.
He really did. So that being said, I'll put that publicly.
Yeah.
One of the greatest guys I know.
Oh, yeah, really.
Inside and out.
Inside and out.
Your favorite team for the Super Bowl? Maybe not even your favorite team, but who are you taking on the Super Bowl?
I gotta go with the Rams. I'm an old-fashioned defensive guy, and the team, the position I'm really excited to see is how that defensive front Rams play against the Bengals. We got Von Miller, Super Bowl MVP, multiple Pro Bowls. We got Aaron Donald, defensive MVP. We got Floyd, who arguably had 10 sacks, 10 or 11 sacks, and still not even talked about as much. So I'm just excited to see how fast and how hard that defense is going to play.
I couldn't agree with you more. My question for you, and I just want to go back to your playing days for a minute. You did a lot of great work. I mean, you were a beast.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. So when I see guys like you and your character, because you're an amazing man, great podcast, I want to know, Michael, who inspired you to greatness? Like, who was that mentor in your life that really got you to where you were?
Well, I can say my mother. Story about me, my mother, Rosie Walker, she's a Hall of Fame basketball player, Olympics, everything, Pan America Games, she accomplished everything under the sun. And, I would just go in her trophy room and see like all the trophies and things she accomplished and, got inducted to the Hall of Fame and all that stuff was just amazing to see. And I saw how sports changed her life, from a woman who went to a small town called Emerson, Arkansas, population 350 people. From there to playing in the Olympics, representing USA versus Russia against a 7-foot woman, and playing professional basketball, and then getting to the adult. So I saw how sports changed her life, and not only just her sports, but who she is as a person. Her character, her personality, the way she treated people, regardless if, you're white, black, Jewish, whether race or whoever you voted for. She just respected people how she wanted to be respected, and people loved her and still talked about it to this day. And she just was one of the person who influenced me to keep God first, treat people how I want to be treated, and just work my tail off to achieve all my goals.
I think that work ethic is really something that is critical. You talked about how she inspired you and created the values in you for giving back. I know one of the things that we often hear about Green Bay is the difficult transition for people coming from larger cities or other environments into Green Bay, which is obviously the smallest city in the NFL. Talk a little bit about how that transition worked for you.
Well, it was very seamless, transitioning from college to the NFL for as city-wise, because College Station, Texas, in Green Bay, Wisconsin, it was very similar. Small town feel. Very rich in tradition and culture when it came to their sports teams. When it came to the NFL, between college and the NFL, as a defensive lineman, you have to defend against different schemes and different cadence when it comes to offensive plays being ran faster, snap counts, 10-minute drill, 5-minute drill, 2-minute drill, depending on how the offensive want to push their pace. So that was something that you really had to adjust to when it came to being a defensive line. Sometimes you're taking on the offensive tackle. Sometimes you're taking on a double team between the tight end and the offensive tackle. Or sometimes you're getting, a receiver is blocking you and on down blocks. So you got to really just focus on just being mindful of reading the guy in front of you and playing the blocks.
So, Michael, I have a question for you. You talk about your mom and what an influence she was on you. It just brings me right to Title IX and women and girls in sports today. Your mom was an anomaly, achieving greatness in a day where women weren't expected to achieve greatness.
Yeah.
How do you see the tide shifting? Where do you think we'll be in America in 5 or 10 years for women and girls in sports?
Well, I think it's already on that point right now. It's going in a really great direction with women's sports. We got women's sports in football, a women's league, a women's basketball league, and it's driven with the fans. As the fan level grow, it makes it better for all sports. So I think, especially little girls, who want to grow up to be sports athletes, I think it's in a good place right now with social media and how, togetherness that women's sports is coming along. So when it comes to women's sports, I think it's going great. We see multiple documentaries of women basketball players, women owners who own women basketball teams and football teams. So I think it's steadily rising with the growing population.
I love it. I have 2 more questions for you because I know you don't have a ton of time. But number one, if I gave you $25,000 and I said, Michael, go do something good with this money,
Okay.
what would you do?
What I would start a foundation that benefits and empowers financial literacy with kids and mental health. Because a lot of times, we don't know what kids are going through. Because a lot of times when they're meeting new people, they're not gonna immediately open up and talk to us about their troubles or what's overcoming. So I would open up a station where kids can talk freely. We can lay out a plan of action, a playbook or a plan of action to help them get them on the right path, whether it's finances, whether it's emotional help, just have somebody to talk to and bounce ideas off, whether it's vision boards, whether, goal setting, because, kids, I think the sooner we acclimate goals to them, the more they'll be focused to achieving them and giving them an action plan. Not just saying like, hey, what you want to be? Oh, a football player. Well, what position? Defensive line. Well, who are the top 5 defensive players that you look up to or studying? Yada, yada, yada. Well, what do they do great that you really want to emulate? Yada, yada, yada. Well, you need to start working on this, and this. So just giving kids a lesson plan on what they want to be, regardless if it's a professional athlete or a doctor or a lawyer, and just introducing them to positive reinforcement so they could achieve goals.
So I think that leads right into my next question. That's about your podcast.
Oh, yeah.
The Undefeated podcast. And that was a perfect setup. And I didn't know that was going to come from your mouth. So high five. So tell us a little bit about the Undefeated podcast and why you started that and what you're trying to accomplish with it.
I was fortunate. I live a great life. I played professional football. I went overseas, played ball, and I was an actor. in California for many years and still acting. And then I did real estate. So I put my hands in a lot of pots and met a lot of amazing people. Lou Gossett Jr., second black guy to win win an Oscar. Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. I met a lot of amazing people in my life, and I want to just showcase them and for people to listen to get inspired and empowered to take on any challenges. And I focus on adversity and overcoming adversity because regardless of, what race, what color, what creed you vote for, you faced adversity to achieve your ultimate goal. And I want to highlight them overcoming it and sharing the wealth of knowledge to be inspired because I got inspired listening to NFL players on how, being in NFL with their influence, their finance, help change their family's life, help change their lives, help them grow as a person. You know, my mother, and this is, I'll tell you a story, this is where I knew I had to make it. I wanted to be something to myself. My mother, she was a teacher and she hurt herself breaking up a fight at school. And she had a neck brace and she couldn't work. And then my nephew, broke his arm. He had a cast on, and I knew, and I went back home and I saw him and I just knew I just had to do whatever it takes to get them in a better situation. And fortunately for me, I made the league and put my mom up, moved my nephew in and live in with me and put them in a better situation. And I do that all through football and what the NFL brought.
Michael, we really appreciate you being here. I know that what you're describing is so important for kids everywhere to understand that it's not just sports is the only opportunity.
Yeah.
And sports can really teach the skills and the mindset that's useful to be successful in the world and business and relationships.
Yeah.
There's so many facets of what we have in today's society, and giving them that message early on is crucial. So we appreciate you taking the time to join us.
No problem. Hey,
on behalf of Kayla and I, Sports Philanthropy Network, we want to thank you for being with us today.
man, hey, the pleasure's all mine. And not only that, sports, it teaches you how to just get along with people, regardless of, whatever you believe in or who you vote for. Just get along and work together. I can agree to disagree with you or you and respect people's decisions and get together and work on winning, winning and helping kids and saving kids' lives with, positive reinforcement with, educational programs, empowerment programs, financial literature. So, even though, like I say, in teams and football, you might not like the person and you might not hang out after practice, but, I respect them and we work together to win and for us to win and help people. So I just see the big picture when it comes to teamwork.
I think it's so interesting you say that. I know we're going to wrap this up, but we just had the president of Big Brothers Big Sisters on. And he said the same thing. Like in essence, it takes the parent, it takes the mentor, it takes the program. And all three of those need to wrap around the kid to be an aid. And I hear that in what you're saying. It's so beautiful to me as a single parent to sort of see great men. Michael, you know that I look up to you.
Literally, you look up to me on 7, so you look up.
It's up to
Everybody.
I'm the tallest girl in this little live stream. Let's keep that in mind. But I just have to say, figuratively and literally. Look up to you. I'm thankful that the NFL I'm thankful that the NFL created that opportunity for you to realize your greatness, and I see you giving back. I'm looking you in the eyes, above the camera, above the camera, on the camera. I believe that the work you are doing after the Green Bay Packers, who just happened to be my favorite, is way
Oh, yes.
than anything ever. And I want to say thank you.
No, thank you. This pleasure's all mine.
And I want to say thank you.
Folks, on behalf of Roy Castle and myself, and
Folks, on
Michael
behalf of Roy
Montgomery
Castle
from the
and
Green Bay
myself,
Packers
and
and a
Michael
year with the
Montgomery from
Vikings,
the Green Bay Packers and a year with the Vikings,
we want to remind you to live
we
generous.
want to remind you.
All right, thank y'all. I appreciate the opportunity. Y'all can follow me. I am 96 on Instagram, Twitter, also on my podcast, Undefeated Podcast on YouTube right now.
Undefeated podcast.
Undefeated Podcast, and Michael, say the Instagram.
My Instagram is I am 96GB. So I am the number 96GB.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you so much.